Hello everyone, this is Waning Moonlight, and today we're gonna see if we can beat Dark Souls 3 as a master of spinjitsu. Now, what does this mean? Well, if you've seen Ninjago, the early 2000s show, that means, well, the whole point of this run is each character kind of had their own element and weapon that they would use to spin around and fight people. So every few bosses, I'm going to be switching weapons to correlate to one of the characters. Now, the first weapon I have here is the spinjitsu itself. I'm allowing myself to not only spin, but also do the regular melee attacks with the weapon, because whenever I would do the giant burst thing, sometimes it will just automatically punch afterwards, and I was kind of tired of resetting runs after accidentally punching them. But I'll talk about each different weapon and how they relate to the other characters as we go on. And another thing is, we are on new game 6 now here, so I'm gonna be 3-shot a lot, like at most 2 to 3 shots. So this one was extremely difficult to actually get going. But anyway, so already kind of talked a little bit. Gundyr was no issue, that's why I just kind of kept going. And Vort was nothing either. Spin to win and use the power of fire. Fire is also the element that the character Kai uses. So that's also the reason I went with these gauntlets first. And once you beat Vort, I actually am going to do Dancer early. The reason for this is because Dancer is one of the... I feel like I know how to do Dancer pretty well. Ignore the fact that I just got absolutely obliterated by one move. But I kind of could see how this run would go, but how difficult it would be for characters like Pointiff or Aldrich later on. So I was really like, you know what? I'm just gonna get Dancer done out of the way, and the Dragon Slayer armor, just because I can do them much better than I can do some other bosses. Anyways, the Dancer did take 2 attempts. A little bit of a struggle, but it wasn't too bad. Just haven't played Dark Souls 3 in a little bit, so gotta relearn the moves, the timings. But either way, Dancer goes down. And that was already the 3rd boss. So far, wasn't too bad. And then the Dragon Slayer armor, I think, was actually, for me, the easiest boss of the run. I mean, the damage we do isn't great. I mean, I'm punching him to death. And I got absolutely obliterated there. I didn't know how big the shockwave was behind him, so I was like, maybe I'll be alright, but it got me. So it was a lot of circling him, and I knew if I got caught in one move, I was basically dead. So I was very cautious the entire fight. But that's all I really took. Just circle, keep my distance, keep it safe, and eventually, he goes down. I didn't really spin attack him too much here, solely because the timing for it would not have been right. You get very quick windows when fighting him. He may be a giant boss, but he goes pretty quick. But either way, after him, I went and did the Crystal Sage. I figured he would be a pretty easy next boss, and get the deacons out of the way too. I did die once before. Got hit with like 4 soul spears at once. which was super unlucky, but you know, that's kind of what happens when you don't kill the clones. Now here is where I let the spin attack shine, because I knew A, it would get multiple characters at once, hitting multiple people. And I haven't mentioned the rings I'm wearing, but I got two in particular. One is my damage goes up when I when I get multiple attacks at once. So if I hit like really fast, my damage goes like from 100 to 120 to 130 to 140, you know, it keeps going up. And two, I also heal with rapid fire. So I figured if they're going to be bunched up, if I just spin around, I can kind of tank it. But halfway through the fight, I wanted to see if I had any luring skulls to try and distract them, but I didn't, so I kind of ran around and was like, okay, let me just go and head back. But I'm gone for 10 seconds, and they nail me with a cursed attack. I have never been hit by that, so I was really thrown off. And this fight actually went so weird. They were going for curse like 8 different times, and I was barely making it through every single one, but eventually it was done, and we move on to the Abyss Walkers. And I wanted to see what happens when I spin attack, because I know they have low poise. So I learned I could just absolutely launch him. So first phase, no issue. And then I was kind of nervous for second phase. No idea how different it was going to be. But then I went for it, and he's not much better. So if you're ever stuck on them on a New Game Plus run, use the gauntlets. Apparently, it's super effective. And over here, there's not much to talk about. It's this guy. So I'm going to propose a little thing I noticed. When you beat the Abyss Watchers, there's a little wall that moves backwards, and on it is a cup. When you go to fight High Lord Wolnir, he touches like a special cup, and the Abyss comes out. So I'm wondering if the Abyss that affected the Abyss Watchers came from the cup that's in their arena or something. If that's what made them go mad. Maybe I'm just putting a connection that's not there. But I don't know. I want to talk about something over this boss fight because again, not much happened. He walked around. Anyways, it's at this point of the fight, or this point of the video, I'm going to remind you all to like and subscribe if you're enjoying it. The next boss here took me forever to do, so I hope my pain and suffering will be entertaining enough that it's earned. But anyways, Pointiff Sullivan was the biggest brick wall for me here. I'm not very good at parrying when it comes to Dark Souls 3. I can do it in Dark Souls 1. I do a little bit in Dark Souls 2. But Dark Souls 3 is way too fast for me. And it was so bad, it made me drop the gauntlets and move on to our second weapon here. The Scythe. The character Cole from Ninjago uses his special weapon is a scythe. And there's another character, Zane, that has ice powers. So this ice scythe was basically just both of them combined, making it easy. And also, whenever I would dodge an attack and try and, hit back against Pointiff with the gauntlets, I would just miss. There were so many attacks I just completely whiffed against Pointiff. That's why I gave up with it. I beat about half the game with the gauntlets, so I called that as a good win. But either way, Pointiff many times. It took me about an hour or two to actually bring him down. And for a simple reason, the reason I really just think that the New Game Plus 6 was really starting to show here. I don't know why it didn't really show with the Dancer, didn't really bother me with Dragon Slayer armor, or any of the other bosses. It was pretty fine. But I think the armor here, sadly, was the worst choice. I mean, they were all ninjas, so you gotta wear the ninja armor. But that this armor's defenses, elemental or physical, none of it's that good. So trying to use that, I actually, even if you could probably see, didn't even mention it yet, I put on the grass crest shield. No one uses it, but I thought just having stamina recover legitimately just might make it easier for me. That was for myself, treating myself. And so every time I did learn a little something new. Eventually, I'll get into second phase and do my best to try and take that down. That beam attack, honestly, in the second phase was probably what killed me the most. I don't know why, I'm just absolutely awful at dodging that move. And his clone, I will say, did make things easier. I do not know why. It makes him less aggressive. It doesn't make him slower. But when he's not on you every 5 minutes, it does kind of help. And I'm not going to tell you how many attempts I sold when he was just 2 to 3 hits away. Because that would make me sad. But it took long enough, or it was so many, that I finally learned not to get greedy. Not to just go for it. I had to dodge and wait for my opening. How many times I thought I had an opening and messed that up too doesn't count. But right here, I kind of knew this was the one. When he went for the summon, that was it. I knew I could get a few hits off and that was enough to move on. Usually Aldrich is the worst boss in a run I gotta do. He's never very fun. But I don't know, last few times I played the game, he wasn't too bad. So actually, probably one of the easier bosses this run. He ran around a little bit, but yeah, just chased him down, scythed him down. And then we switched characters. Now, if you don't know, or many of you probably haven't seen it, but there is a ninja named Jay. Everyone knows Jay. And he's the master of lightning. So why am I using wind? Well, there's one episode in early Ninjago, the first season, where he makes a mini tornado. So if he makes a mini tornado, that means he can make a big tornado. And so I kind of use this as a tornado of sorts, my little wind power. If you think that's not fair, I'm going to remind you of what happened with Pontiff and say I was not about to beat this man to death with a weapon. I've done it before. I've done it with a broken sword on New Game Plus. I was not doing it here. So, you know, with this, obviously, Yorm went down pretty good. And what I use in general, I did end up deciding to use this Nameless King weapons because, you know, King of the Storms kind of would go with it, but I end up actually never killing anybody with those weapons. Instead, I kept with the lightning spells for 2 reasons. One, I'll talk about in a minute. But 2, because if you get a lightning bolt point blank, you can rack up some pretty good damage in a hit. So, if lightning's gonna do about 700, if it's point blank, that's a lot more than like 200 from a sword swing. So Lorien actually was not very bad to fight. Now, some of you may not know this, or some of you probably do. It's a pretty well-known strat, but if you kill him and are behind him, you can knock him down with some arrows. However, I did not know this. You could also do it with lightning spells. The first time I tried it, I did mess it up, but eventually I was like, you know, I do not have enough spells to bring them both down with them being kind of lightning proof. So I kind of learned the spacing. Yeah, I learned the time to do it. So once again, not the... It was a little bit of a cheese strat, but again, I feel like I earned it. I paid my dues. So I just kind of stood there. I kind of kept one foot on the red and my other foot in the gray. And if you just gotta do it just right. If you went up the stairs, you would hit Lorian. So you kind of had to really watch your spacing here. But either way, I brought him down. And so for the final boss, I'm going as the Green Ninja, the master of all four elements. The super strength of Cole, the lightning of Che, the fire of Kai, and the ice of Zane. I also grabbed the gauntlets again to kind of use spinjitsu and for Cole's super strength to beat him down. And yeah, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Just jump up, kick back with